Welcome to the Get Back, music work talk in Central Texas, Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work after 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed, private sector, employment law attorney of your choice. All right, welcome to the Get Back for February 11th, 2022. We had a little technical difficulties getting on today, and I think Russell is still going to jump in here in a minute. We always start with the links down in the description of the show, and that's got the there we go. All right. Is that Russell? There's Russell. We can see you.
Perfect.
We're on the air already, so you're just in time. Yes, indeed. Well, I was just doing the usual stuff at the top of the show here. We always talk about the links down in the description of the show, and it has the links to the local union and information about recovery from the COVID pandemic. Not medical recovery, of course. Economic recovery is what we're talking about usually with union stuff. And then, of course, down there, if you're watching this on the archived version, that's where we'll also have links to the articles that we talk about today. But if you're watching live, they're not there yet. But they will be when we get the archived version going. So, yeah. I'm hearing some sounds from you, Russell, but I'm not seeing... The video's not moving, but hopefully that'll stabilize out for us. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. You're actually in the union office today. So
yes, I am here at the union headquarters.
Thank you for joining us, man. Yeah. Man, and I'm at the home office here. my home office again. But yeah. So we always start with beverages as well. I'm doing coffee as usual, although it's getting a little cold, but that's all right there. Do you have a beverage with you today, Russell?
I have water, but it's actually over on the other side.
No worries. It's the spirit that counts, right?
It's just it.
May the spirit of hydration be with you.
Be with you. That's right.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, we got a couple of things on the docket today. We'll probably have kind of a short show. But there's some big news happening locally, of course. I guess probably the most recent thing here is the stuff about the boil water notice. And it looks like the Austin water director is resigning or something there. Yeah, he announced his resignation today. And so, but we're still kind of finding out like what were the causes of that. and all that. Yeah, and how that exactly happened. We still are sort of wondering about that. Everybody is. It did affect some of our employment. Some of the places where we play music and things had to, especially restaurants. Some of them had to shut down because they didn't have the capacity to boil the water to keep operating. So it's a concern. Have you heard anything about that, Russell?
The slightest weather problem cannot continue to cause Austin a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's just incompetence. This cannot continue.
I mean,
and it isn't like this was not foreseen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, the first thing they said was that it wasn't related to the cold.
Yeah.
But now we're starting to hear that it was related to maybe some of the employees working remotely. So maybe that had to do with the cold, or maybe that had to do with COVID, or we don't know. We still don't know what happened there.
We probably won't know, because this is an embarrassment for somebody, and apparently it cost somebody a job.
Yeah, and the director apparently, it's cost him his job, and probably somebody else too. Yeah. What was I going to say? Of course, we have to be careful a little bit too, because our water system here in Austin is different from the surrounding areas, right? We have a municipal water system here, Austin Water, whereas most of the surrounding areas have privatized water systems, that are privately owned, and of course, certain political viewpoints, would like to see that happen in Austin too, where it's a privatized thing, and so we don't want that to happen, but we don't want our water shut off either, So, oh man, yeah, it's a pickle, but we sure don't want to have happen what happened in Flint, Michigan, and
no, that's just the frightening thing is, and it's better to be safe than sorry, because you don't want to have a bunch of E. coli or people passing away from just bad water. But man, we just weather can't keep causing, or can't be the blame for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. One, it just seems so silly, because we have such better weather than most of the country really down here. If you don't like the heat, there's going to be a lot of heat. But as far as like storms and things, like we don't get it as bad as some of the other parts of the country. So, yeah, it shouldn't be this disruptive, right?
Yeah, when Yeah, and I'm just going to go ahead and quit. You knew that. Yeah, this you might as well just get out. There's some heat behind this.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, also on the local news, there's a little bit even darker picture here, but it was in the paper twice this week, and I think it's in the paper again today, about the 18 police officers that are facing charges for protests. It says facing charges for protests spurred by George Floyd's murder, but they're not facing the charges for the protests. They're facing charges for their reaction to the protesters. And and of course we know there's at least one musician that got seriously hurt in those protests, and probably several.
It will never be the same.
And the one I'm thinking of is a very young man, and he's okay now, but like that should never have happened, and like rubber bullets to the face and things is what they're talking about, and they talk about the less lethal things, and it's, oh man, yikes. The news today, no official timeline's been set, but they're moving forward with the indictments. So it's good that we're still talking about it, but it seems better. Like it would be better if it was moving faster because we're talking about 2020, and it's 2022 now. You know, so yeah, it's interesting, but it is good that we're not forgetting about it because those people that got hurt sure as hell aren't forgetting about it. And
Well, you and I have talked about this off camera, and you know, pandemic or not, this kind of behavior has not ceased.
yeah,
It's managed to continue. I mean, it's still in the news today,
mm-hmm.
and you're just wondering, how are you managing to continue this?
Yeah. When I keep thinking of when I go to the movies, when I go downtown, somebody keeps telling me don't be hanging around or don't hang around, right? That was like 1963 when he wrote that.
Right.
Sam Cooke, and that song Change Is Gonna Come. That's like what I mean, it's 60 years ago now. Like, yeah, I mean things have to change, and that affects our work. That's our workplace, I mean, we got to be able to work downtown. We got to be able to go down there, to work, and our work depends on people going down there for fun. And we can't, yeah.
Not just them feeling safe, but us too.
Yeah.
It's just
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's just all around. I mean, it's got to be safer for everybody, and that includes law enforcement. I mean, if you're so afraid to go to work, maybe you need a new profession.
No, well, yeah. But we also have, our legislators hanging them out to dry, with this like permitless carry thing. Like, what is that all about? Like, how is that going to make things safer for anybody?
You can kind of see why they would be little touchy, because they don't know.
They don't. Yeah.
If I pull this guy over, is he going to pull out an Uzi or something? I mean, because he's more heavily armed than I am. But you have to look at both sides of the argument. But man, it's kind of hard to when it's the civilians that are kind of the body count.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's the unforgivable part there. Yeah. And we'd like to see, the government and the law enforcement working in the same direction on this, and they don't seem to be yet. And so we have to just keep talking about it and make sure we don't forget about it, right? Yeah.
Everybody's safe. I mean, them, us, everybody. I mean, we want to see them go home safe too.
Yeah, man. And we're not gonna be able to work if the audience doesn't feel like they can go down there and go home safe. They're gonna stop coming out. They have stopped coming out. We got to try to get them back. I mean, that's already happened. I mean, because of COVID, they have stopped coming out. So we got to try to welcome them back. And this kind of thing is not helping. So
yeah, it seems like the vaccines are starting to work, and we don't need this.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah. Well, anyway, that brings up an issue. So the article about this I've tried actually to send to that young man I was just talking about, and other people too. But it at least earlier in the week it was behind the paywall on the paper, so you couldn't read it unless you had a subscription. And you think, oh, that's terrible. But actually, though, it brings up a valid point. It's like, if you don't have a subscription to the local newspaper, get one, because you need to know what's going on. And that's the only organization that provides news that actually is accountable to the subscribers, right? I mean, all the other papers in town are advertiser supported, and it's not that they're not good, but they're, at the end of the day, they owe their allegiance to the advertisers, not the readers. And so the local paper is the only one, that actually owes their allegiance to the subscribers, the people that pay for the paper. And it's not that expensive. And I know you and I read the paper, and and Yeah. So that's something too. Even like the TV news, we have really good TV news in this town, but we don't pay for it. The advertisers pay for it.
Right.
That's who they work for. So when they do those obnoxious things sometimes where they put stuff on the news just to keep us watching it, and even though it's not really news, that's what they're doing. They're selling the advertising. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. So that's a whole other we could have a whole show on that. I mean, that's deep. That goes deep. But man, let's see. Let's go on here. There was another article. Was that today? I think it was today about the UT students demanding more COVID safety precautions. Because they're back in class, and I think they're not allowed to require masks on that campus, because it's state funded, and the state government won't allow anybody to require the masks. And so, I'm sure some of the students and faculty are wearing masks, but they don't have to. And yeah, I think they've been getting hit pretty hard with Omicron. Hopefully that's lifting now, but we're really only seeing the beginning of Omicron starting to taper off. So everybody's kind of afraid to say when it'll actually go to stage 4, because we're still in stage 5, right? But I think we're getting close to the numbers for stage 4, but we have to, the same old game.
They're from what I've kind of been, I don't want to say had information leaked to me, but it kind of has been, is that they're kind of waiting for spring break to kind of see where the numbers lie, and then they're kind of like, okay, because a lot of governors have kind of already kind of said we're moving away from the mandate now because we want to know before then what we're looking at.
Huh. And you think maybe locally here we're going to take the other tack and wait till after spring break to see what's happening?
It's kind of the information that
interesting.
is kind of out there.
Okay, all right. Anonymous sources, of course.
Yeah. Part of if you're going to be on the Get Back show, part of our job is to go out there and put our ears to the ground and get information.
That's it.
Some of our sources they don't want to be named, and some of them do. But we break news on this show.
We got friends in low places. What are we going to do, right? Yes, indeed. Yep. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah. I completely forgot. You remember that in 2020, the whole spring break trip with the UT students. That was a big spreading factor. They all got on an airplane. Not all of them, obviously, but a bunch of them got on a chartered airplane together, and they all got sick at the same time.
It didn't go well at all.
Yeah. So, we don't want that to happen again. And wow. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens there. But all we can do is just keep. We know how to do it now. I mean, if you've been working music gigs at all, you've been playing in a mask. You've been doing everything you can to keep the distance right when you can, and play outdoors when you can. Golly, it's a beautiful day today outside, and I think it's supposed to get cold this weekend again, though. But play outside when you can. I mean, we're very blessed to be able to do that a lot. Big part of the year here. So
yeah.
And those folks in New York are wishing they were down here a lot of times in the winter. Oh man. So all right. Let's see. The other thing I had on here is a national thing. This is the last thing I had on kind of my list of stuff to talk about today. Is the sex harassment bill, or sexual harassment bill, which they're calling a Me Too milestone in the news here. And this is I think it's in the edition of the paper today, but it's not on their website yet, so it might wind up behind that paywall. But it's on the AP News, the Associated Press. It's gone through the Senate and the House, or the House and then the Senate, and it got unanimous consent in the Senate, which you almost never hear anymore. But the thing is to make it illegal to put those forced arbitration clauses into employment contracts, so that when to force women in particular, into closed door arbitration when there's a sexual harassment suit and they're not allowed to actually sue the employer, and that it gets rid of that. So even if it's already in your employment contract, it nullifies it, and that's a really good thing in our business, because we know that happens in the entertainment business all over the dang place. The problem for us is, like there is usually a problem for us musicians, is when we're working in clubs, restaurants, hotels, we're not actually employees. We don't have employee status, so this doesn't apply to us. And you know, we can make sure our contracts are clean, but this law doesn't apply to us because we're not working as employees. We're working as contractors. We're still really misclassified, as we have been since the 70s. And so you have to watch out for this. But if you're on a union contract, you know that you're going to be protected from this type of thing. But if you're on some other kind of contract, you could have that forced arbitration buried in there somewhere. You never, so always want to read your contracts, obviously. But it's even better if you make them yourself, and if they're a union contract, then you really are protected. And yeah, but this this Me Too thing, I mean, it was just not a surprise to a lot of us in entertainment. That's kind of where it started, really, with the Weinstein thing, I guess. So yeah, so
it's kind of ironic. I mean, there was an issue in Congress where this law might be put to the test.
In Congress, even, yeah, that's
there may be just that lawsuit where this congressman told this other congressperson to kiss, and now there may be that suit where this lawsuit may. So we.
Yeah, that's also been in the news, right? I didn't have that on the list, but yeah, that particular case, yeah, could be affected by this change in the law. Yeah. Oh man, that is ironic. I thought you were saying calling attention to the irony that the Me Too movement started in the entertainment industry, and then now a big segment of the entertainment industry is not protected by this law, because that's also ironic.
Ironic too.
Irony abounds, it's yeah.
The ironic part is that this thing passed unanimously, and now said congressman might be held accountable.
Might even be one of the ones who voted. Yeah, who voted for it. Okay, so I guess we should amend our statement. Always read all the contracts and all the legislation that you vote for. You better read it first. Yeah. Yes. I hope they train them to do that with those legislators, but sometimes we don't know. So yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Man, any other local music stuff?
Well, I don't have my card with me, and you know the card I'm speaking about.
Oh yes.
But it is time to seriously get that done. Who you vote for is between you and your conscience, but it is of the utmost importance that you do vote. And if you have that card with you when you walk into the precinct, you will have no issues.
Yeah.
Even if you have the proper identification, you will have no issues if you have that card along with you.
You're talking about the voter registration card.
Voter registration card.
Yeah, I got it in the other room. Because I'm at home. But yeah, it's kind of a light blue this year. They used to be gold, right? But now it's kind of a light blue. It comes on a postcard, and you cut it out, or is it perforated or something, so you can fit it on your wallet. Yep. Yeah, and you walk in with that thing, and that disables a lot of anyone's ability to disallow you from voting. But you have
no issues, no.
Mm-hmm.
No gerrymandering allowed, Gigi.
Oh, yeah.
Your vote will count.
Yep. Yeah. So how do you get that? You got to you got to register to vote.
You have to register that. You have that done.
Yep.
It's easy. It's quick, but you're running out of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And if you haven't registered to vote, I mean, even if you do have the license and the proper ID, they can still disallow you, right? So you really want to have at least have had that card mailed to you. You know?
It's just the sure way of making sure that when you walk into the precinct, there will be no issues.
Yeah.
With your address, do you still live here? Have you moved? Because if the address on your ID is not the same as the place that you're living, there could be an issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you have that card, there won't be an issue when you walk into the precinct.
Yeah, they don't even have to check your other IDs, right? It's just that card is enough all by itself, and you go right through.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep, and that's really important information to know in Texas right now, because they're playing a lot of games with that. And yeah, mail-in voting. It's what is it, like 7 times more people have been
More difficult.
Yeah, have been denied access to mail-in voting this time around, and yeah, it's not good. So, and that's how we fight it, is by making sure we vote.
Like I said, if you're gonna play the game, you gotta know the rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you got to play the game.
You gotta. Yep.
We got to play it here, like we were saying a couple months ago. We're just not getting a break. We got to vote on all these elections because they're trying to pull
Everything
stuff.
else.
Yeah, they're trying to pull stuff in there.
Any little amendment that you're not looking out for can cost you. You're like, oh, I didn't know. When did that become a law? Well, when you didn't vote that time, that's when this came in.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh man, it's a little disheartening, but that's what we have to do, and that's
stay vigilant.
Yeah, stay vigilant and vote. Spend the time to do it. I mean, it's we spend time doing all kinds of wacky stuff. So spend time on the future of our society. And that's really important. Yeah, I'm with you, brother. Right on, man. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's see. I guess we'll be back next week. It'll be President's Day weekend next weekend, but that's on Monday the next week. So
it'll be your day.
Yeah. Oh no, not at all, man. Not at all. But yeah, man. Any other issues we should bring up before we sign off?
I think that's it.
I think that's all we got for this week. We're keeping an eye on the Austin Music Commission. There was a vote there to they vote to recommend to the city council, to recommend to the city manager that the money from the Live Music Fund be used for musicians and independent contractors. We've yet to see how that would actually work, but that's encouraging, and maybe we can put on a concert or a show or a festival or something using those resources. We don't know.
The money for the rent is still not there yet.
Okay.
But it's still on the site, so it is coming.
And you can still get on that waiting list to email you when it's there. Yeah, thank you for saying that again. Yeah, that's an issue for a lot of us, because rent is expensive. We've been in the national news about how expensive the rent is in Austin.
Oh yeah, and it's boy.
And, 20 years ago we were in the news for how cheap the rent was, and now we're on the other side of that whole debate, but not debate, but issue, I suppose. So, yeah, it could be an issue for musicians easily, and is for a lot of folks. So, yeah, right on. All right, well, if you, the viewer, are in the music business, don't give up. We can get through this together, and we are, by sharing information, working together, and in solidarity as we go back to work and get back to where we were before. Now is the perfect time to do your business better. It's tax season again, so that's a great excuse as well. But get your work on a contract, use a union contract, join the union, and let's lift up every boat together in the ocean. So, all right. Thanks for joining us. I'm Aaron. This is Russell, and we'll see you next week.